welcome. This is our Friday Interactive. We are so glad that you are able to join us, and I hope that God has been good and gracious to you in this season as we continue with the crisis of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. My name is Bramo Musia, and I'm delighted to have with me on studio or in set two very amazing men of God, of whom I respect a lot and I'm privileged to journey with in this life. Allow me to welcome, first of all, my very own Pastor Julius Ndivo. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yes, and then also, Pastor Julius Ndivo is our lead pastor at Innkeepers Ministry or Innkeepers Fellowship, and we are privileged to have you on the ministry and in the leadership there. Also, a very special treat, a man that we invited for our anniversary last year, but we were celebrating on a Sunday where he is tied up somewhere, and so he is beginning to pay slowly for not being with us. But allow me to welcome our dear friend, Bishop Stanley Mwalili from Green Pastures Tabernacle. Bishop, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Brahma. I'm so glad as well to be with Pastor Ndivo as well, and what a lovely time together.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
You know, we went into this venture where every Friday we take a moment to just interact on issues that are key to us, from finances to marriages and relationships. And today we thought we'll just get to you and talk a little bit about an issue that I felt is very dear to us in this season. And it's the issue of COVID-19, the crisis itself, and some of the opportunities that have been created around it. And to some people, it's an opportunity. To some, it's a problem. And that is extra time in our hands, extra time in our homes, extra time with our families. What do we do with that time? What are we doing with that time? How do we leverage on that time? So before we even unpack that, let me first of all ask you, Bishop, how are you doing as a ministry, as a leader in the church with this crisis?
Thank you, Brahma. I think we are doing well, at least according to my own evaluation, although I keep saying that sometimes we need to know what the Lord thinks. Just like you remember there was a church in the book of Revelation, the church of Laodicea. They had a very interesting description about themselves. We are rich, we have no need for nothing. But then when the Lord delivered the verdict, he told them they were poor, they were blind, they were wretched, and naked.
Yes.
And that was very sobering. And so sometimes I wish I would know what the Lord thinks.
Yes.
But humanly speaking, I think we are doing well. Of course, the church hasn't met for, I think now 2 months. Yeah, but we have continued to serve the Lord and minister through Facebook Live.
Yes.
And also having a number of meetings through Zoom. And we've tried our best to try and reach everybody. Unfortunately, only about 80% of our members have smartphones. So the rest, we have tried to find ways of sending them SMS and calling them, and also trying to reach out to them in one way or the other. But basically, I believe the church is alive, and I think this was a great test to just see just how much we know and can be able to survive without necessarily the structural aspects of church that we know. Because I believe church goes beyond just meeting on Sundays.
Yes.
That there has to be that life which
Yes.
is there even when the institutional aspect of being together is not there.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, I would say we are doing well. Of course, not as we would, but definitely I think we will survive and come back to continue with what God called us to do, albeit probably in a different way.
Jesus said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Is that statement still valid?
Absolutely. By the way, I am one of these people who hold this theory that the church is stronger when scattered than when gathered. I personally believe the church is stronger in homes and in hidden places than in public places.
Wow.
So for me, I'm not surprised. I've always thought a time needs to come where the church is shaken to a point that we can't gather the way we do, as much as that sounds ruthless and unthoughtful.
Yes.
But this is when we really get to know what is really the true church of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Otherwise, these other things are props. Buildings are props, and when props are removed, that's when you know whether really the thing had a backbone.
Wow.
And I think this time round, when we now do the evaluation of what happened after COVID-19, we'll be able to see how much of the true church of
Remains
Jesus
standing.
remains standing.
Wow.
Yes.
We hope you're tuned in there and sit still. We're just getting started. This is just to unpack this crisis that we are going through. Share this link with somebody. Get your friends all over the social media to plug in into this discussion. There's something special for you because I believe we need to harvest some special principles to help us maximize and leverage on the time that has been created by this crisis. Pastor Julius, what has been your posture for this season? Your attitude for this season? Where are you? How are things?
Well, let me first start by saying it's really an honor to be here together with Bishop. Choice servant of God in this nation, and we draw a lot of inspiration from you and the work that you've continued to do in this land. And when we grow up, we want to be like you, and so it's really a blessing to be here with you and to do this together. So, he said a very dangerous statement that will make people throw stones into this place.
Yes.
That the church is stronger scattered than a lot of us don't want to hear that. We can't wait. We are watching every time there's the president comes, to say, thinking, hey, church is going to come.
When are we opening?
Exactly. But absolutely, I do agree with what he said, that sometimes when we are challenged, we have nowhere to hide and to take cover. Sometimes when we come and sing together loudly, we feel we can hide in this mob, in some of the things that come out as we are a crowd together.
Yes.
But see, when I'm by myself, and nobody's reminding me to read the Bible, and I know I'll not run to the church office for prayer. I'm by myself. There are some muscles that get exercised. And so I absolutely agree with what he said. So for us, I think for me, one of the things that I have trusted and believed is that times for storms and shakeups are again times for where God brews very special things. And that's been a very loud message that I've continued to bring. That looking at the two times in Mark 4, in Matthew 14, the times that the disciples were in storms, by the end of each of those storms, they had a new view of God. Chapter 4 of Mark, they're saying, who is this man? Yet they've been with him for some time. Matthew 14, they're saying, this truly must be the Son of God. And all these stories are repeated and pasted all over. Times for storms and shakeups are times for us to know God, to experience Him at the next level. There are times for us to learn new ways of doing things from God. John 2, when they were in that crisis, wine finished. Jesus comes, introduces a way of making wine that everyone who took that wine said, wow, why didn't you? Exactly, So my posture here is the gates of the greatness and new revelations, new layers of who God is must be peeled over this season. And so the challenges we're trying to bring to the church, the congregation, and the body of Christ at large is we cannot go back to pick things from where we left them. This season, those 2 months are really a precious time for us to, take another level deeper into God and enjoy Him. Of course, there are challenges of we miss each other, we miss corporate time of fellowship. There are things that are a lot tougher, but then I think the benefits that we're harvesting and drawing from this are way far-reaching.
I want to talk about the benefits that we're harvesting just from where he has stopped, Pastor Julius. And I bring it to you, Bishop. You have a unique situation where you're observing this country, particularly as an older leader, not too old, but at least you've gone ahead of us. And one of the things I see all over social media in this country is we're united in one thing, believers and non-believers. I speak for men. We're all looking forward for the day we'll be released from this curfew of having to get home at 7. And from this idea of lockdown where I cannot go to Isilia, I cannot go to Mombasa. Men,
watch a soccer match.
Yeah, watch a soccer match. Men seem to have come to a point where we are realizing we had more life out there than we had at home. And unfortunately, as we might laugh about it, it's becoming a crisis.
Yeah.
And people are rubbing each other wrongly in the homes. How can we take advantage of this extra time that's been created?
That's very interesting. There are many things you can pick from this, but for me, the immediate one is, I think we need, first of all, to appreciate we needed to slow down.
Okay.
Just to begin.
Yes.
I don't know that everybody feels like me. I just all of a sudden realized that I was actually too busy.
Yes.
And you almost wonder, how come life is still going on even when I'm not as busy as I used to be?
As I was.
And so for me, one of the right low-hanging fruits of this whole lockdown is just a capacity for me to be able to just stay home, and even if there is nothing else I can do, at least rest.
Yes.
And, break away from activity. Because I think we have become, human doings rather than human beings.
Yes.
We are not being, we are actually doing.
Yes.
And it's come to that level whereby if you are not doing something, it's like you're abnormal.
Yes.
And I think there's something wrong with that. In my opinion,
Yes.
there's a place where you just need to sit and do nothing.
Yes.
And just rest. And we see several times in the Bible, Jesus Christ himself, after a whole day of ministry, sometimes go in, and even when a demonized, a mother with a demonized girl comes and, she wants healing, Jesus will say, no, I am resting, or the disciples say, let him rest, until he himself comes out after the woman insists.
Yeah.
And then in the Old Testament, Elijah. Elijah at one point, was very busy prophesying and dealing with, the Baal prophets and all these other gods. And,
Yes.
He ran away. And at some point in the process of running, God tells him, wake up, eat, then sleep. Wake up, eat, and sleep. And so there will be moments like that. And I feel like for many of us, and especially for me speaking for myself, I feel like this has been really a moment of just
We need to
refreshment,
appreciate
just to
the
slow
rest
down.
time that has
Slow
been.
down.
Okay, so principle number one, I hope you're appreciating that this is your season to take advantage of this crisis and rest. Because there's one man that is a friend of mine who said, if you don't learn to take your Sabbaths 1 week at a time, God will allow you to take them all at once in a hospital. So maybe there's a connection there.
Or like the Babylonian captivity.
Yes.
7 times 7.
Yes.
49 years.
49 years.
Yes, yes.
Pastor Jay, the rest time.
Yeah.
How do we come to that rest time? Because for some of us, resting is going to the soccer. We go back to doing in the name of resting.
Yeah.
Myself,
Yeah.
speaking for myself, my rest is going to the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And getting busy with chicken and goats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not too bad, actually. Sometimes changing rhythm kind of just allows you to feel refreshed.
Yes.
And that's not too bad. But maybe just to push it a little further.
Yes.
One of the places where we need to rest now is in the home.
Yes.
But some of our
But that
homes,
is where there's a crisis.
there is a crisis.
Yes.
So some of our homes are not a resting place.
Yes.
You've seen the articles. I read one the other day, and they're asking, the homes that were once a safe haven have become war zones.
Actually, there's a popular radio station that had a conversation.
Yeah.
And the question was simple. Has the lockdown and the curfew created more alcoholics?
Yeah.
And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
Everybody that was calling was saying, that's what I
We're
do.
drinking
What
more.
do I do in the house? I'm a stranger to this person that
Yeah.
I live with.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah, so I believe one of the things is, one of the challenges that we have is to actually make the home a place we can retreat to go and
Totally.
rest.
Yeah.
Because there are people who, some of us, some people feel that, yes, I want to rest, but when I go home, that's become a stress zone.
Yes.
Because, we are fighting about how my wife is frying an egg, and she's thinking, I've been frying eggs for the last so many years. You know, you're suddenly in my space, on my face about, you know. And so we can't seem to just make the home that safe space where we can rest. So I think one of the challenges I'd want to bring here is make that environment. Let's sit, face each other, say, you know, maybe we've had each other over many years, you know, and we've had places to run to, you know. And that life has somehow happened because we are those places to, you know, go to.
Yes.
And so I think one of the good things as we now find ourselves at home and we want to make it a resting place is to begin to reconcile. If there are ways we've hurt each other, if there are things that we carry, bitterness, pain, of things that are unresolved.
Yes.
You know, ways that we've treated each other with our children and so on and so forth, to just come here, say, hey, look, we want to be a family. We want this to be a place where when we all come here, we can all be happy.
Yeah.
And we can rest our emotions, we can rest physically, we can, because if you don't have a comfortable environment, you know, at home, then even the rest will not begin. So I think maybe that's where the journey needs to be. To just mend relationships, forgive each other. You know, what we have felt has not been going well. You know, it's the way you spend your money. Let's lovingly and prudently sit down and confront some of these things. So that then the home now becomes an environment where we can now begin to say, okay, guys, let's enjoy this time and rest together in this space.
Bishop, I'd like to take you to that same point and help us on how to break it down and how to do it smoothly, because we can confront the issues and someone ends up feeling confronted. and now you have caused more trouble. They don't want to come home because they are afraid that issues will be brought up. How do we go into this?
I think this is very difficult because now these are the mechanics and they get interfered with by so many things. The way we understand things, the way we communicate, the way we perceive each other, and possibly some historical things that have happened in the family. And so the beginning point would be to appreciate that this is not like a business or office environment that you can change at will. That you need to appreciate that this is a permanent situation. And even if you want to change it, it will actually cost you a lot to change it. And so the beginning point is to know that this is not a disposable thing. It is something that, you know, requires patience, something that requires a long-term view and investment of emotion and everything that goes with it. And so for me, the beginning point would be to appreciate that, you know, there is what brought you together, both husband and wife, and then, of course, subsequently, the children have come, such that it's no longer just two people now, but there are other interested parties. And sometimes it helps, especially couples, to appreciate that when you differ with your spouse, it's just no longer between the two of you. There are other interested parties. And so as you resolve your issues, you must remember that it's not about now your comfort, just the two of you. There are other people that are affected by whatever you do in this relationship. And so for me, I think the first thing would be to look at this thing from a long-term perspective, where you're not thinking that if it doesn't work, then I'll change it. It's not like a diaper or a disposable plate that after you use, you throw it away. You need it tomorrow, the day after, and the years to come. And so that settles things and helps you stop looking for, you know, quick fixes that have that don't have some sort of longevity in them. The other thing that I find is necessary is that place of just how to approach issues. You know, many times, and this is what I've been dealing in the last couple of weeks, and this, you know, messages are coming soon. I've been dealing with, you know, there's a spirit called the fault-finding spirit.
Fault-finding spirit.
People don't know that. It's a critical spirit. It's a it's a destructive spirit that capitalizes on just finding fault and never really sees anything positive. For two people to really get along together, there has to be a deliberate effort, first of all, before you pick a fault, to ask yourself, what is good in this thing? Because many people see the fault, but they forget that there are good things.
Yes.
And naturally, people already know, everybody knows they are not perfect.
Yes.
So every time you pick on somebody's imperfections, their antennas go up. And so they put a defensive mode.
Yes.
But if you came to me and told me, you know, I really appreciate the way you dress, I love your suit, I love your shoes, and, you know, blah, blah. Then I say, you know, but the haircut maybe needs to be, you know, you've already settled me.
Yes.
You've helped me understand
Yeah.
that you're actually not against me. You actually want to help me. But you've just come straight and say, man, your hair is terrible.
Yes.
You forget that I have a good shoe, I have a good trouser, I have a nice jacket, and
Yes.
a beautiful shirt, I've worn a nice cologne.
Yes.
Then I'm just running why you've just picked, you
One
know,
thing.
1%
Yeah.
out of, you know, and you left 99%, that is
Yeah.
good. And so, Pastor Ndivo, I'm thinking one of the challenges we have is we become a very critical society.
Yeah.
And you just need to go to Facebook. Just open your page.
Yeah.
And a few posts down the line, somebody's complaining, is blaming someone, blaming the president, blaming the MP, blaming the wife, blaming the children. And that never builds anyone. And so I think for me, the beginning point would be, first of all, just to appreciate who we are and what we are, and the fact that all these years we have been, because if you have lived with someone for 15, 20, for me, I've lived with my wife for about 29 years, you know, there has to be something that has made me and her stay that long. And there must be good. Otherwise, if it
That
was
can
all
be
bad,
a building block.
then none of us would be alive if it was all poisonous. So that means there must be something.
Yes.
So I think there has to be a deliberate effort that now that we are together and we have too much time to see things, we must be deliberate about looking for positive things and then pick on the negative things with that backdrop of already having built a, you know, a trust that yes, I'm not just speaking on mistakes. I've appreciated this, but we can work on this.
Wow.
I think for me that would be a
Yeah.
good beginning point.
That's very powerful, and I think I would even go a little further on this and begin to address the mental impact, the emotional impact of the time that is being created. Now we are home by 7, so we have more hours at home. But then those hours that I get extra at home are hours that I was making some income. That income is no longer coming in. Now I have extra time, but I've lost income. There's an impact on me. And people are becoming agitated. How do we respond to that?
Yeah, and just starting from where he left, where I think that was an awesome point. Fault-finding spirit.
Yes.
And it just reminds me of the children of Israel and how, you know, Moses is here, has worked so hard to cut the clothes of Pharaoh, and they just won't celebrate nothing, you know. They just want to kill the man. And they, you know, we had leeks and onions there. And
pomegranate.
Exactly, you know, so the coming to the situation of
impact,
the impact of finances and, you know, many other things.
Because you're making time, but maybe you're losing income, or losing productivity, on the business aspect of things or the academic world, and then people getting agitated, and so you listen to the tone, and that negativity that he has referred to maybe has increased through this season.
That's true. You see, sometimes we kill ourselves over things that we have no control over. All right? COVID-19 is here with us.
Yes.
All we can do is pray, you know, trust God, hope that a cure will be found.
And we don't know for how long.
We don't know for how long. So I think it's good to first check. So what do I have control over?
Yes.
And what is it for now I don't have control over?
Yes.
And you see, sometimes we kill ourselves over things that we don't have control over.
Yeah.
My worry and fretting here today is not going to make the president wake up tomorrow and say,
and open up everything.
Come home at midnight, you know. So I think we just need to first analyze situation and say, this one, I have nothing I can do about it. And just accept that fact.
Yes.
My business is suffering. Is you know, I make X amount of money between 7 o'clock and 11 p.m.
Yes.
in my restaurant and so on and so forth. I've got a pay cut, and you know, there are things. And so instead of, you know, allowing that to just depress you, to kill you, just accept this is how things are. And then ask yourself, okay, that I don't have control over, so I'll pack it on one corner. And now come to a space where I say, so what do I have control over in this situation? I begin to see, so what is it that I can do now to still make the most of this moment?
Yes.
And we begin to ask ourselves, so we are here at home, so instead of getting stressed and depressed and sleeping,
Yes.
the whole day, I can better my marriage, I can begin to think there are people I haven't connected with and the important networks and relationships in my life.
Yes.
And the reason because I never have time to give them a call. So I'll write that list. I'll begin to call those people. I never have time to talk to my mother
Yes.
in the village as often. And she's always saying, why have you forgotten me? So I'll put her on the schedule now. Every 3 days, a call, and things like that. So beginning to see, so in this space now, what is it that I can do that I have control over that will add value to me,
Yes.
to my space,
Yes.
and to my environment,
Yes.
and to my future.
Right.
And what I don't have control over, I will leave it
Yes.
and not, stress and depress myself over it. And I think that's what the Bible says, count it all pure joy.
Yes.
When you go through these kinds of things. In other words, the Bible is another language of saying, just enjoy the moment.
Yes.
Laugh about it, mock the fact that I can't go to work.
Yes.
And just, and the other day, my daughter got, a paper and wrote, stay at home and stay safe. And she stuck it on the door so that every time I'm going out or the parents are going out, they can see, this is the time to stay at home, And we've refused to remove it. And it's a good reminder, just stay at home.
Yeah.
Of course, for her and our children are enjoying the moment, we're all home. And so we've said instead of letting this thing depress any of us, we'll stay here, do all the silly things, roll on the carpet,
Yes.
wrestle with my son and do all those kinds of things.
Yes.
And just, not let these things kill us.
Yes.
We just see this is what we can do now and we'll do it.
Yeah.
I think I have something to add there,
Yes.
Brahma. As he's speaking, I'm reminded of a book I read. It's called Good to Great.
Yeah.
And you encounter, and one of the principles there is called the Stockdale paradox.
Yes.
And what this writer is saying that companies that went from good to great, they embraced that paradox called the Stockdale paradox, and simply says that you confront your brutal facts without losing hope.
Yes.
And they say that paradox was actually coined by that man called Stockdale after he studied the behavior of prisoners of war. And he noticed, or it was noticed, that those prisoners who were taken captive as prisoners of war, and they thought they would be rescued that week or the following week, they ended up dying earlier. But those, but those who sat there and said, well, this rescue may come or may never come,
Yeah.
and they settled and knew that we are
Yes.
we are prisoners of war.
Yes.
We don't know whether we'll ever come out of here alive. Those
Yes.
guys actually stayed until they were rescued, even if it is after 40 years. And so we need we need to embrace this Stockdale paradox, confront the brutal fact that COVID-19 is here,
Yes.
jobs have been lost,
Yes.
finances are lost.
Yes.
So what we need to do is we adjust our lives. If we used to eat meat every week, we eat meat once.
Yeah, happily.
We cut down. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever can be cut down, we cut down and stop doing some of the things we were doing.
Yes.
Because you realize actually there are things we are doing that even after this COVID thing, we'll never do them again because we realize they were not necessary. I mean, we were spending a lot of money on things that are useless.
Yes.
And now we realize we can actually survive and be healthy even the way we are living. And so I think it's very important for people to settle down and just know that life itself is more important than just being out there.
Yes.
And like Jack Ma has been, quoted as saying that right now, if you're a businessman or running a business, right now, forget about profiting.
Yes.
Just focus on survival.
Yes.
Just emerging out of this thing alive. Once you're alive, then you figure out what to do after that.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Very key principles. Thank you so much for staying with us. Our time is running here, but I want to just unpack here a little more as we have the time, as we, brace ourselves for the worst, but with hope. All that. Can we address one issue as we are as Kenyans? We're very unique. And so we're out there, we're making all kinds of jokes and humor out of this crisis. There is no shortage of comedy regarding this crisis. However, I feel like it is becoming a default excuse for also not being objective and focused. And positively harnessing or leveraging on this extra time. Could we speak into that?
President, do you want to go?
Yeah. If you look at Proverbs chapter number 6, when God is describing people who are lazy and diligent, lethargic in life versus those who are diligent, saying there, all diligence brings profit.
Yes.
Some of the characteristics that are spoken about there are people who are diligent, and hence they first attract the blessings of God, and there's all manner of profit into their lives. It talks about people who are able to work without supervision.
Yes.
I have time here, and I don't have a boss breathing behind my neck.
Yes.
Saying, did you achieve this? Let me look at your goals. Did we reach here? Did we not reach here? And one of the values that the Bible exalts so seriously throughout Proverbs is actually a situation where you're able to work without anyone supervising you.
Yes.
It even goes ahead to give us qualities of little animals. Talking about grasshoppers that don't have a king. Yet they are troubling us in East Africa, terribly. They don't have somebody saying, we must go. They come into a moment where they feel, this is it, let's go,
and
let's
they jump
do,
on it.
and they do. Talks about, qualities of animals that, again, they even work, the little ants, in summer. Even when situations are a little difficult, they will still go. An ant can actually boil under the heat of the sun and die. But when it is summer and they know people are harvesting, they will find people have a lot of food, they will drop some, and, that's the time they go out. So I think the quality of being able to bring ourselves to a place where we say, I have time here. Maybe my boss doesn't have a camera monitoring what I'm doing. Maybe nobody will keep me on track the way, I am kept in track on a normal season where I'm reporting to work. But look, I want to be responsible. God's given me time. I want to ask myself, so what can I do with this time? How can I maximize? How can I apply this time? And what are some constructive things that will add value to me presently? And will also invest into my future, post-COVID. So I think just being able to know that's a quality that God rewards. If you look at Luke 16, that's stewardship, even of the very time that we have. Ephesians 5, when it says we must know the time, know what to do, and make good use of our time. So I think not so much that anyone will drive us, being able to make that decision. I have time here. Boy, I'll make use of it. And I know the answer to that question, how can I make this time useful, may vary. Some people may want to do a new skill, learn something, try something they've been wanting to try, heal their marriage, invest in that, parent their children better because they're there. And I know that question, maybe the answer to that question is different.
The idea is to be able to come out of this with the ability to look back and say, here is something I was able to harvest out of that time. Bishop, you want to respond to that?
Yes, very, very briefly. I think I want to make it a little more practical, and I know this is not easy for many people, and especially for those of us who are men, and maybe the ladies who have been out there in the corporate world and hardly had time to be home. I think this is also time to experience the house chores, because there's a lot of work in the house. Many of us are not able to have a house helps because, again, social distancing, you don't know where they're coming from or where they're staying, and especially those who used to come and go home. So you find there's a lot of work. There's ironing, there's cleaning, there's, cooking, there's washing dishes.
Cooking is a bit of a challenge because
Now I'm the one talking.
you will be corrected.
I'm the one talking. I think there is a place in which we need to look at how we can plug into that environment, because that's what is there.
Yes.
Because I think it will look very strange, because most of us men especially, our work usually is out there. We're supervising the construction.
Yeah.
We are going to deal with issues and bring stuff, and we just come home and sit down and get everything.
Yeah.
But here you are from morning to evening. You are just at home.
Yes.
I mean, sincerely, you know, everybody else is working. They are doing something. Are you telling me really in that whole house, there's nothing you can find that you can actually occupy your time with? And I think this is part of the source of conflict, is where the whole family wakes up, you know, the firstborn is maybe cleaning, you know, the lady is ironing there, and another one is doing something, and you're just on Facebook and social media, and, you know, lunchtime, you are the first to be served. I mean, clearly, it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you are the king in that home, people will get tired of you. They will riot. So sense says that you must arise and ask yourself, how can I also bring value into this home? Yeah. Maybe you can take it upon yourself to be the one supervising the homework and the kids working, and maybe just stuff that, you know, for me, I'll be honest with you, I looked at the work in the house and I says I'll do the ironing. So I'm doing that because, I mean, from my National Youth Service training, that is easy for me. There are moments I go to the kitchen, I find a few dishes, I just clean them, but there are certain things I tell Mama, please, I know you want me to help, but this one, just allow me really not to get involved, because I just don't think I really fit very well here.
Yes.
And graciously, if I have ironed and done something else, I will have negotiating. But if I have done nothing,
you have some credit.
My friend Pastor Ndivo, you will be chased out of home. Yeah. And any man listening to this, I know it sounds weird, but that's the truth.
Yes.
People will get tired. Even your own children will wonder, Daddy can't do anything. Even sweeping the floor, he can't do anything. They will just think, and when they are together with the mom, they just look at each other when you pass, and you know you are not welcome. In fact, they are wondering when the COVID will end, so that you just go. Because they don't think you are very useful.
Then we go back where we started.
Yes.
Wow. So, brothers, as you go in the kitchen and help, I know you'll be corrected 1,000,000 times. Take it with a strong chest. That's my advice. As we finish, because our time is up.
Can I say something on that
Yes.
one? You see, me, when I go to the kitchen, we have agreed with my wife that she is actually the head of the kitchen.
Oh, good.
So my work is to assist.
Okay.
So I normally ask, where can I assist? Because the moment you go there and you start behaving like you are
the boss,
then you fail. But if you go there and submit yourself and you know, ask how do I start this, then you are shown. Then you just start the way they start.
Yes.
You will have no issues. But if you go there and bring your headship in the kitchen, that's where the problems begin.
Bishop,
so you need to question
Bishop has spoiled it for me. But, you know, as we conclude, I want to address the place of spiritual development, spiritual nourishment. We find that, pastors, you are trying very hard to bring the word on social media, on YouTube, everywhere, even paying airtime on TV. But because we are at home, we find ourselves with choices. And so people, I think, find themselves scanning through 15 messages and not narrowing down on something. And I'm worried that we'll come out of this season with people that have gone back spiritually instead of moved forward. What is your advice for people taking advantage of spiritual messaging that is coming to us through the internet and through television?
Well, I think first there is the place of ensuring the basics are in place.
Yes.
A lot of people don't read the Bible simply because they're busy.
Yes.
Yeah? So I rise up early. By the time I catch up with my gym and whatever, and shoot out of the house before traffic builds, get to the office. By the time I come home, dinner, even news, I'm dozing off. And pastor is here telling me, read your Bible. Surely, what time do I have to read my Bible? And so some people have felt that they have legitimate reasons why not to keep up their spiritual paths in place. And so I think first and foremost, basics, you know, have your Bible study plan where you pick the Bible and you read. And some churches have, you know, through the Bible plans, you know, every year where they read. We have one, and I hope as you listen to this, you're catching up with what you were not, you know, doing previously because of understandable programs, you know, where we are busy. Prayer, just a few moments, kneeling beside the bed. We shoot out very quickly. We don't have time to, you know, pray. Do your prayer time, you know. And then basic things like devotion, family devotion. The head of a house, take some time, cover some devotion. And so as you go there, as you listen to those things, see what lessons can I learn here? Let me also bring them home, you know. And so first putting those basics in place. Once you've done those basics, then take advantage of what is out there. You could learn a thing or two, you know, in the sermons there. If you have a church, again, don't first connect to what God is saying. Because you see, if I'm plugged into an altar, God sees me as part of that family. And there are words God is going to bring there, expecting that I'll be present to feed, because that's where God has planted me. And so there may be things that what I need, my rema, is actually in my local church. But because my local church, their video is a little shaky, and there's another one that has better graphics, I now forget about the shaky one for my local church and go to the one with the best of graphics. I may forget that my rema, God primarily, first and foremost, send it through here because that's where it's planted. And so then, as I get my rema, it does no harm, of course, to go and hear what else God is saying to the body of Christ out there. So those are some of the things I'll quickly throw out, you know, as we begin to.
Bishop.
I think Pastor Divo has nailed it very well. You know, we don't change our home affiliation because the neighbor is cooking well. We remain loyal. And I think one of the challenge that we have to challenge our members is to remain loyal to our ministries. And even where they're struggling, probably we need to find ways of ensuring that it is possible for our church to actually be able to give us Facebook Live, you know, sermons. But it is very unfortunate if just because, you know, there's another church that looks like it's doing better than ours, then we have to do that. I'm not saying we don't do that. I'm just saying that if you really have given time to your own pastor, it's okay, because all these things are there, they're open, and these services are coming at different times. Then we also have to be careful, because again, you can easily become, you know, overwhelmed. There's too much information out there. There's too much preaching. And chances are that if, again, you listen to too many things, you know, because they come in different dimensions, you can easily conspirate. And so people also need to, like he said, you know, let's balance that with our own personal spiritual development, as well as what we have been spoken to through various media, either social, TV, whatever it is.
Our time is really out. I hope that we get to do this again. Bishop Molili, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be with you here and to just share the wisdom that God has given you. We celebrate you and the journey that God has taken you through.
Much appreciated.
Pastor Julius, thank you so much for sharing the counsel as you chew on God's word. We celebrate what God is doing in and through your life. Thank you so much. Thank you again for being with us. This has been Friday Interactive. Until next session, keep watching, keep practicing these principles, keep taking advantage of the crisis, because we can harvest some good things out of it. My name is Bramwell. See you later.